right? Okay, this system is so important to our body, and they only discovered it in the latter half of the 1900s. The endocannabinoid system exists in the body of every mammal on this planet, whether you know about cannabis or not. It exists. And it is a system that helps you feel better in every single way. So first, science before sex. I'm going to give you a little overview about what your endocannabinoid system is, how it works, and why you want to make it work. Okay, so quick overview of me. I still don't know why I'm up here telling people about this. Every doctor and their brother should be screaming from the hilltops, because when we do acknowledge this system, we are going to change the face of aging. We're certainly going to change. I'm really loud.
The irony of this thing going like this.
Oh, I think I did that. I think I did. No. I'm not a doctor. I've never played one on TV, but I am somebody who has used plant medicine to save my life. 19 years ago, at the age of 37, I had colon cancer. Big fat tumor in my ascending colon. They cut it out, sewed me back together. All props to modern medicine, because I am a bit of a miracle. And then they said, have chemo. And I said, oh, that makes perfect sense, but I can't, because I have to nurse our baby. He was 9 months old, and all I could think was, I can just give him good gut health by nursing him. So you don't really tell a postpartum woman anything but what she wants to hear, and that was a done deal. So I had a number of doctors turn me away from their practice. And I just felt so disempowered. I thought, oh my goodness, I've made a really big mistake. I'm going to let down my baby, my husband, my whole family. I've got to do something. And I was really fortunate, because the last doctor I went to said, you're a pain in the ass. You should have chemo. But since you're not going to, let's teach you how to stay alive. And so, as well as a bunch of other modalities, he taught me about plants and how I could cleanse my system every day, drain my lymphatic system, fortify my system. Now, this was back in 2006. Nobody was talking about the endocannabinoid system. But what he was talking to me about, and what I was learning about, is everything that the endocannabinoid system is about. So, we have slides, right? Science before sex. Okay. So, I use the image of a soundboard because I actually did used to work in the music industry. And I see your endocannabinoid system like your unique soundboard. So mixing sound is really hard. Mixing your endocannabinoid system is not, because all you have to do is nourish it and activate it. And the plants are here to do that for us. But on top of that, you can make your own cannabinoids. So that's where the science before sex part comes in. Okay, so what does the endocannabinoid system, can I move this? No. What does the endocannabinoid system control? Everything, absolutely everything. Take a moment and think about, when do I feel really good? Like really good in my body? When is everything feeling balanced? Because funny enough, the medical community calls the endocannabinoid system your system of homeostasis. And homeostasis literally means balance. So again, why you got me and not some doctor telling you all this? This is so important. So it balances your mood. Less anxiety, helping you deal with stress better, helping you modulate your cortisol response better. It helps with libido in a big, huge way, because a healthy libido is a healthy biomarker. It is a sign of longevity. It helps your appetite. And there are new studies coming out about this regularly. We're even seeing endocannabinoid receptor activity with adipose tissue. That's fat tissue in the body, right? The body does not want to be out of balance. It is constantly striving to mix your perfect symphony so that you feel great. What's going to make you feel great is going to be different than you. I mean, we could all look identical, and it would still be different, because our own biological needs are different. So moving on, thermogenesis. Now, any ladies in the room have any idea what it's like to suddenly feel really hot? Or even guys, because during andropause, you all experience body temperature fluctuations. Thermogenesis is a function of the endocannabinoid system. So keeping your body from having night sweats, hot flashes. This is all a function that can be modulated with the endocannabinoid system. Moving on, pain and inflammation, your ability to recover from a workout, from a trauma, how you respond to something that your body doesn't like, a histamine response. All of these functions in the body are modulated, and that's the science word, by the endocannabinoid system. So you have this perfect mixing board in your body. So let's understand it a little bit more, and then I'll show you how to activate it, and then we'll get to the best part. So it's a basic three-part system. So first we have receptors that exist all throughout the body. We've identified 5 receptors. We're going to talk about 3 of them today. CB1, they exist okay, we're not there yet. Sorry, next slide. Okay, we're going to go high level, the 3-part system. You have CB receptors, cannabinoid receptors, all throughout the body. Okay, my next slide will show you where they are. And then you have what are called cannabinoids. So we're all very familiar at a Cannadelic with one of your primary cannabinoids. Anybody want to take a guess what it is? Cannabis, exactly. And that's why they started to study. Scientists wanted to understand how cannabis interacts with the body. And that's how we discovered that we have this entire system, this entire network throughout our whole body of receptors. That's what THC binds to, right? That's what causes why we're all here, okay? Okay, so you have cannabinoids in the plant kingdom. We call them phytocannabinoids. Cacao is a very potent cannabinoid. We have black pepper. Black pepper is a really potent cannabinoid. There are a number of plants, turmeric, helichrysum. We find cannabinoids in a host of plants. We call those exogenous cannabinoids. Exo from the Greek meaning outside ourselves, okay? Exogenous cannabinoids like cannabis, like black pepper, like cacao, activate by binding to the receptors. Now they only partially bind because of course, we're taking them and putting them on our bodies or in our body, right? So they only partially bind, but they're very effective. And then we have endogenous cannabinoids. Endogenous from the Greek meaning within. Okay, so these endogenous cannabinoids are cannabinoids that we make ourselves. Okay, let me see this. Okay, to finish up this slide here, we have the cannabinoids, the receptors, and then the last part of the system are enzymes. These enzymes are extraordinarily important because they are truly the modulator. They are my mixing board, like sweet spot when I've mixed something, and I studied music engineering, so I mix sound. So when something is almost all perfect, you send in the enzymes, and the enzymes come and wipe away any of the excess. So for instance, if you used cannabis and you know what it's like to feel really stoned, you're waiting for those enzymes to come in to wipe away that excess of THC and that excess of endocannabinoid receptor activity, right? We rely on the enzymes. Okay, so moving along. Okay, where our receptors are. Can you guys see this, or am I totally blocking it? If I move around? Okay. All right. I'm going to go like this. Ooh. Better? Better, except for you guys? There we go. Ah, she's free. Okay, this is what I'm a mover. I like to move. Okay, now we're talking. So where our receptors are. So this map gives you a little bit of an idea of how these receptors are all through the body. So our CB1 receptors, they're in our brain. They're in our central nervous system. And if you've ever seen the brain, you've got this fabulous big mass that's the brain, and then the spinal column, and all of these receptors that flow off of it. This is what we're talking about. They send signals to every function in the body. and they start in the brain and in the central nervous system. We have CB1 receptors in our lungs, in our cardiovascular system. We have CB2 receptors in our gut and our digestive tract. Okay, and when I say CB1 and CB2, they are very similar. They're just different designations for where they are in the body, but they function primarily the same. So don't get hung up on that part. The reproductive system, again, why we're not studying this more, I don't even understand, but the reproductive system is so full of cannabinoid receptors. Every part of the reproductive system is full of receptors, including the prostate. And here we talk, oh, prostate cancer, don't worry, everybody's gonna get it, but it's easy to cure. We see the atopsis of malignant cells in the prostate when we see high endocannabinoid receptor activity. In layman's terms, that means bad stuff dies off when the endocannabinoid receptors are sparking. This is really important. Okay, then we have CB2 receptors in our blood, in our bone marrow. They are everywhere. We have TRPV, that is a lesser known receptor, and these are found in our skin, in our nerve endings. I don't know that a lot of people understand that right underneath your skin, right underneath the stratum corneum of your skin, there is an entire network of cells called Langerhans cells, named for the German guy who discovered them. And that's an immune network. You have an entire network of immune cells just beneath the surface of the skin. And in there, you have cannabinoid receptors. You literally have them everywhere. Okay, so then, oh wait, no, back, oh back. You can't see that one yet. How do I go back? Uh-oh, I don't know how to go back. Okay, cool, we're going to go back. So, okay, so let's get to, did I need to go back? One more. No, we're good. We're good. I covered all of these. Okay. All right. Edit that part out. Okay. So, getting to orgasm. Okay. So, back to cannabinoids. We produce our own endocannabinoids. Okay, there's a couple of them. There's one, it's called anandamide. Any of you who are just part of the cacao ceremony, when you partake of cacao, you produce your own endocannabinoid, and that is anandamide. Ananda from the Sanskrit word for bliss, and it literally means it's the happy molecule. So cacao, that's why some of us are, so fond of our chocolate, right? And then you also produce anandamide during sex. And I'm talking coupled sex, because you don't produce anandamide when you orgasm. You produce it when you are feeling good, intimate, everything's firing, you feel safe, you feel turned on, and you start to feel happy, right? That's why sex can be so wonderful. You're producing anandamide. It's an endogenous cannabinoid that partially binds to your receptors, partially being the operative word. Now, there is, and this is the whole point of the talk, I get to talk about 2-arachidonoglycerol. And when Pete asked me to talk, I was like, oh, is it because I get to say that word over and over? This is an endocannabinoid that you produce in your body when you orgasm. And here's the special thing about 2-arachidonoglycerol, 2AG for short. It is a full agonist to cannabinoid receptors. What does that mean? It means it fully binds to, 100% binds to your CB1 receptors, which are in your brain and in your central nervous system. It is the only cannabinoid that we have discovered that is a full agonist. And I can't say how important that is. It means it's not partially, it's not selectively, it is fully activating those receptors. And you produce it when you have a full body orgasm. This is different than sex, right? Sex can produce lots of other fabulous things, but if it's not like really fabulous, You're not going to have that fabulous release, and you're not going to produce the best longevity cocktail on the planet. And I am here to tell you, when people start really understanding what 2-AG does in your body, more doctors are going to be prescribing orgasms. They're not going to be prescribing sex. Thank you. They're going to be prescribing orgasms because this is the best way. Do you know what 2-AG does? No, of course not. I'm going to tell you what 2-AG does. 2-AG boosts your immune system. It doesn't make you feel as happy as anandamide. It's not the bliss molecule. It has an even bigger job to do. And no offense to bliss, bliss is great and a key component, but I'm talking about your immune response, your ability to handle the stressors from everyday life that get thrown at us from every angle, whether it's environmental or digital, or, I mean, pollution is everywhere, energetic pollution, right? We are able to modulate that by giving ourselves this incredible endocannabinoid. You can find 2-AG in human breast milk. I don't know how many of us are going to partake of that. There's really not a lot of other ways to get it. And it fully, sorry, I had to. It fully, I nursed my kids forever. It fully activates your system. So think for a moment, like when I was first thinking about doing this talk, I was like, okay, should I ask everybody to take a moment and close their eyes and think about where in their body, where in their life do they feel unbalanced? Like go through the systems. Are you sleeping well? Are you sleeping through the night? Are you waking up feeling like you had a good sleep? You feel rested? Okay, if not, activate your endocannabinoid system. And there are ways to do it without orgasm. But hey, okay, we're talking about the sexual aspect of the endocannabinoid system. What about your appetite? Do you feel like you're hungry when you're supposed to be hungry? Do you feel like you're sated when you've eaten enough? Do you feel like your body is metabolizing your food? Again, a function of the endocannabinoid system. So your mood, mad enough to kill, Kyle? Or are you like on an even keel? Like you can handle your stressors, right? The Colorado girl got it. I love that. South Park. I had to give a reference to South Park. So are you feeling, you know, on an even keel? A lot of us, you know, I'm 56 years old. Estrogen has left the room for me, right, completely and totally. There was a time when I was like, wow, I'm chopping vegetables. What else could I chop here? You know, like that's, you know, this is the endocannabinoid system. I love the group that laughs. You guys are awesome. Little chuckle from the guy in the front row. So moving on, your pain and your inflammatory response, especially as we get older, it becomes harder to recover. It becomes, you know, you find like the arthritic things come in or whatever. Can we balance our endocannabinoid system that way? We can. We can actually ask our body to de-inflame itself. We can ask our body to not send us into a massive, like, oh, you just did 85 squats, now I'm going to make it so you can't walk tomorrow. The body doesn't want that. That's out of balance. And of course, the body knows when you need to sit down and rest. And if that's what's happening, that's what's happening. But you will recover faster if you are nourishing your endocannabinoid system. Thermogenesis. So thermogenesis is the heat in the body. You know, are we having night sweats? Are we having hot flashes? Are we too cold? There is so much research to be done on people who have thyroid disorders because the endocannabinoid system talks directly to the endocrine system. And when we can nourish those systems and get them to work together, then the body won't, you know, people won't be cold all the time. They won't be hot flashing all the time. The list goes on and on. As a cancer survivor, I'm excited about the research when we see high endocannabinoid receptor activity, we see the cellular activity healthy and not, you know, turning into malignancies. This is all so important. But to be able to produce our own cannabinoid within our body is where the real magic is, because then it's like you're giving yourself this, your own unique cocktail, and then just saying to your body, do with it, you do it, what do I need? Because sometimes you don't know what you need, but your body does. Your body always does know what you need. So then it brings me to how to nourish the system beyond orgasms. I am an alchemist, and Rockstar blends are topical botanicals, so that's my realm, because I don't have an ascending colon anymore. They took that out with the tumor. So for me, absorbing things can be a little bit of a crapshoot, pun intended, right? I have to... I love you. You're like my teenagers. But so how we can nourish this system. So I have to be like one moment of bad news for anybody who does partake of cannabis regularly. You actually need to activate your endocannabinoid system and nourish it even more, because cannabis throws your system off a little bit simply because we are partaking of cannabis that's really high in certain cannabinoids. Hello, THC, right? And so that's a little bit taxing to the endocannabinoid system. So not to be a downer, but at the same time, if you do regularly partake of cannabis, you might really want to look at ways to nourish that system with plants. So when we're talking about plants, we're talking about plants that have fabulous terpene profiles, very similar to what those of us who partake in cannabis often look at. Oh, are we high in beta-carophylline? Do we have a lot of pinene here? What terpenes are in this particular strain, and how will they affect me? Myrcene, very, very anti-inflammatory. Well, you see myrcene in other things. For instance, people who are allergic to mangoes often don't do very well with myrcene, because myrcene is the terpene. So there's a big crossover in the plant world with plants that can nourish our system, give you a better orgasm. It's so great to hear that like the endocannabinoid system is responsible for a healthy sexual, activity in your body, and we can nourish the endocannabinoid system and make it easier to have a healthy sexual response by using topical botanicals. Now you can do them orally, but the gastrointestinal tract is really a challenge, because we've got all these things that are going to take that right away and do with it what they will. So that's really not medical, but remember I told you I'm not a doctor. When we ingest it, it has to go through our tract. If we put cannabinoids on our mucosa, our soft tissue, tons of studies have been done now showing that the best way to activate your endocannabinoid system is rectally and then vaginally, because that gets right into the system. The system just absorbs it all up and doesn't send it through a whole, stomach acid cocktail. And it's so powerful because it just gets right into your body. The other beautiful thing is if your body doesn't like it, you're not going to be throwing it up. Your body will say, oh, I don't like that botanical. And then you're done. Whereas if it's in your gastrointestinal tract, you're not done for a little while, and you're going to deal with it. So we have some time today, and I would love to open the floor up to any questions so that we can continue the conversation in the way that you guys would like to learn more about. Go for it.
Quick question. When you
Sure.
said the new way of absorption is a most effective way is orally, or I'm sorry.
Vaginally or rectally. Mm-hmm.
What about transdermally? How does that compare?
So transdermally, I think you're looking at like a 60% less when you're going on the skin, but you can still activate the system. Now it's really important to take note of what the base is. If you are purchasing a product that is cannabinoid rich, you want to use it on your, say you want to use it on your arm. You need that product to penetrate through the stratum corneum. That is the outer layer of your skin. And it's really tough, right? Because we have that entire network of Langerhans cells right underneath the skin. So in order to penetrate the skin, you got to be careful, because the cosmetic industry has made it very commonplace to use things, they call them enhancers. They're basically a solvent that is going to break down the stratum corneum and allow the botanicals to penetrate. That said, Mother Nature has provided us with some really fabulous enhancers, For instance, jojoba. Jojoba penetrates. A lot of us in the cosmetic field understand that jojoba has a lipid content or a lipid profile similar to our sebum, and it's able to penetrate. So if you find jojoba oil, yes. Coconut oil, yes. Some of the heavier oils don't penetrate. Some of this castor oil does. Castor oil is extraordinarily unique. If you come see me at Rockstar Blends, I will probably not stop talking about castor oil these days because my postmenopausal skin has discovered this to be the holy grail, castor oil. But some other things like shea butter, they create an occlusal barrier. So while they're very nourishing to the skin, it's difficult to penetrate. So Blue Lotus, well, it depends on what the carrier is. So I saw the Blue Lotus people out here, and I was talking to them because I said, could I make my own Blue Lotus in coconut oil? So, you buy the flower, and if I, soak it, that's what I'll, actually, I think I'm going to do that. The next round of Rockstar Woman I had Blue Lotus at the very beginning, and just found it not stable. Yes, Pedro? Oh.
Apply it,
Yeah?
or you take it in.
Yeah.
Do you feel anything? Does it have immediate reaction?
Immediate reaction. That is one of the other really beautiful things about endocannabinoid receptors and the plants, is that it's not like, oh, glutathione, you take it for a couple weeks, you'll feel better, you'll start to see results. You feel it right away. These receptors respond immediately. They get into the bloodstream and boom, baby, you are feeling better in whatever way you need. I have seen people use topical cannabinoids and I watch them go, and I say, oh, see? And they're like, what? And I was like, did you just saw it? You just released. Oh, yeah, funny, I feel better. I'm like, I just watched it happen. It's a beautiful thing. People feel cooler, people feel warmer. Nothing's going to make you feel cooler outside. So don't come to me and say, I'm going to use a roll-on and I'm going to feel cooler. But it helps your body in whatever way it needs immediately. When you apply the botanicals topically to the intimate area, you're not going to have an orgasm right away, like, oh my gosh, I can't, shouldn't have done it right now. No, it activates the receptors. So if you go that route, you will indeed have a mind-blowing full-body orgasm. And all of the things that you read about where your eyes get crossed and you sort of can't even whatever, you're like, it really can happen. And it's because your body has just flooded itself with its most perfect cocktail. And your body is saying, yo, babe, just lay here for a minute and do nothing. I got it. Give me the wheel. And sometimes it takes that for me to give you the wheel, like at least. Not that I'm a control freak.